I'm picking up an unusual disturbance in the nearby quadrant. On screen.
Make it so. I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live in Technicolor from the beautiful Hollywood Hills, California. The show where the total retail price of their advice is $0. This is Timelines Talk. Featuring guest stars. The fact of the matter is, oh my, it's stars and garters. Also featuring, more like Command Dip Suck, look out, it's Automaton 2000. And now, there's no way he gets this intro right. Here's your host, Captain Idol.
Yes, welcome ladies and gentlemen to another edition of Timelines Talks, the #1 exclusive all-natural show about Timelines Talks. We are here.
Gluten-free.
There ain't nothing natural about this shit, my friend.
Oh, you know, we're 100% organic.
I would like to lodge a complaint.
Okay, please.
I'd like to lodge a complaint. You had me record like 3 different intros for us three, for all previous guests, for guests that we might have coming up, and you use like the same ones every week, dude.
It takes a while to
shuffle through.
We'll get through. I think I mix it up every time.
Because the audience is afraid of change. If they come in and it's a new intro, we're like, who is it? Who is it? It says it's Stars and Garters, but is it?
Anyway, next week will be artificial, full of gluten, and with
very stretchy show.
Yeah, very stretchy show. You can really work that dough. Yes, we're going to be talking about all sorts of things this week, including some things about the new reunion crew, the sort of first mega crew coming up. But first, as always, let's have a look at the leaderboards this week. Congratulations to SSR's very own I'm going to say this right, Artaniel. I'm going to say it's Daniel with the art in it.
Siete.
Siete. Hang on, there you go.
Siete.
There we go.
There we go.
For winning it. But yes, no, congratulations to them for winning that event. Absolutely fantastic. 16 million points in a galaxy. Good lord. Auto, tell me what that's like. You're the king of
I would not do that
buttons.
in Galaxy. No, I would not do that in Galaxy.
Yeah, no, I have to say that people who win Galaxies, like, biggest brass balls of them all, because, like, you know, faction, relatively low-level investment, you just have to make sure you put your timers out and, like, you careful management of resources. Skirmish, you just have to be determined, but with Skirmish, you at least get something out of it. Galaxy is like, here's my crons and components, just out the door, there they go, never to be seen again. You don't get shit for it.
I've got 32,000 Earl Greys and nothing better to do with them.
In fact, I'm curious, like, how much is it VP for the community rewards? Did they single-handedly fund everyone's community rewards, if you think about it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
But yes,
by the way, down at number 43, VIP Zero's Captain Sheridan. Now, they may or may not be a viewer of Timeline Stocks, but I've heard the name being floated as a possible future guest on the show. So if you are watching, congratulations on a big top 50 finish.
Absolutely. What is the top? Where is that? That's top 100, 3 crew, isn't it? So everyone on this list is getting that 3 or 5. I'm still getting used to it. Couple under names.
Still getting used to this embarrassment of riches.
Oh, it's crazy.
I was promised a positive rant later by Stars and Garters about the new reward structure. So
why wait?
Why wait? So someone you're not going to see in the top leaderboards is me, because I was at 638. Because I was at work during the end of the thing. I would have tried to grind a bit more because I would have liked top 500, but whatever.
Wharf event.
I know.
Work.
The shame.
You have brought
I have
dishonor to your house.
I'm a not essential worker, but I still have to work, so you work that out.
Accept my honor.
Thank you for that. But here's the thing, right? I got 68. I got 2 copies of Miraculpa, and Jesus Christ, that is such a difference. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like, Star 2 is always the worst star to get on a legendary because it's always a case of you add what, maybe 80 points, like between base and proficiency, or whatever. And it's like, here comes the long climb, and it's always the worst when you get it in a behold because it's like, I'm basically doing nothing here. I'm just like, I'm banking it for later. But having 2 stars right out of the gate on an out of portal gold, that makes me feel really good. Yeah. Like that's not something I've felt in a long time, and that's a really good feel. That's my run. Feels good, man. It feels good. These changes are great.
We didn't even have to mute you. You call it a rant? Come on. You can do better.
I'm not seeing long sprawls.
You're supposed to implore the heavens and. No, I mean,
you're
it's been
hyped
positive.
Up, man. That's the problem. Yeah.
It's been positive overall. I went and tallied because we were talking about this in Discord last week or something. We're trying to quantify exactly how much better the rewards are. Because since they changed it, this is the first time since I've been playing that I've been looking at bases seriously. Normally I'm a voyage guy, gauntlet guy, collection guy, but shuttles are like, it's not really my jam. But they're the way they extended the thresholds, for me personally, who can go up higher and try to hit those different rank thresholds. For the first time, I'm considering, I kind of like this big base crew. They might help out in a requisition shuttle, blah, blah, blah. So we did try to quantify that. And they're giving, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're 50% more gold stars from rank 1 to 1,500, 50% more overall. And that's being sprinkled out throughout the ranks, so...
And it's worth keeping in mind that this is the second change because it used to be top 1,000 got a copy of the gold crew, right?
Right, yeah.
So if you think about it, it's like these, like, all of these various extensions to the availability of golds, especially to, like, brand new ones, not just old ones. Like, I feel like that's just a massive, like, win in overall for players.
I know
such a good
for the players who might need to save up for months and take the day off work and have the wife take the kids or whatever, so they can finally get into a top 1,000 or something. Being able to push that a little bit extra and get essentially double the gold reward, like you said, it takes the edge off of having to do a site that does almost nothing for them. It saves you 50,000 honor, which is a big chunk overall, and
can save you some deal as well, depending on what your luck is with event packs, which
Well, this is the other thing,
can be quite varied.
I reinstated my ult just to do some fuck it retrievals, and I just participated barely in the event, like sent like about at least 10-20k or something like VP. Got some dilithium, just got that 50 dilithium just for sort of being within that top 100. That's imagine the VIP Zero crowd, and shout out to Stellar Ice for her 2 galaxy wins, you crazy person. But, this is going to be a new income for them because everyone in VIP Zero I want to say I see a lot more VIP Zero names in the top sort of like 100s or at least on the leaderboards because they tend to try a little bit more because the rewards are there. Now they've got more incentive to push a bit more and everyone in the fleet is getting those rewards, and that's what they need the most. And I think that's nice. That's nice.
So let me ask you guys, have you been yet, I know we've only had this for a few weeks, have you been in the situation yet where you've gotten extra gold, multiple golds from the reward and then been tempted to pull packs afterwards? Since you think, I'm closer to finishing them, maybe I'll do some packs. Have you guys been there yet?
I did Century Crusher, got her to a 5, but I kind of got her because I like the card rather than like her stats. I think if she would have been if she'd been better than Kaldos Crusher, I may have done, but because she was a bit like, mind. I like the art, I like the character, I like the card, so I'm happy that's sitting on my roster to a 5. So that was a no for me on that one, but it does depend.
Yeah, no, not for me, because like the
oh,
nope,
he's gone. No,
well, I will say, I was talking to our buddy Big McLarge Huge, and because he had multiple Culbers, and then he got lucky with packs, he said, well, I'll just finish them off. So I feel like it's sort of weird. I'm trying to look at it from WRG's perspective. Now, if you're giving the gold to more crew or more players than would have had it, that, equates, you're looking at minus crew slots for them. And maybe they get a little tighter. They have to shell out dilithium for crew slots. If you're giving it to the same number of people but a greater amount, then, maybe they're looking, well, he's closer to being finished. Maybe I pull packs or whatever.
I can see it. There has
I
been
like the change overall. I like the change for top ranked players. I'm trying to think from WRG's perspective, how are they making money off this? Because if there's an idea that will make them money, that will push sales, they're way more likely to implement it than something that's just like, hey, give us more free stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, like Stars said before he was eloquently put in this position.
That's going to be his new intro.
Like you said, the second star is the worst. And when you're looking at 490s and people that are going to pay dilithium for that, to say, actually getting 3 crew in a 3-pack 490 is not too bad, or even in the event packs, that's slightly more tempting for people. Like you're trying to say, for those people that are flush with dilithium, yeah, it's an attractive proposal. But I can't see which, again, it works both ways for the VIP zero crowd. Yeah, that's not going to affect them, but giving them those little hints of dilithium might get them into that cycle, which is it's monetization kind of 101 really. Tempt the player, feed them that little bit of something just to get them in.
Yeah.
Oh, he's left.
Yeah, I don't want to start it out with whale talk, but
Oh, hang on. Stars has left and bugging up my layouts. We'll go over here. So yeah, the event rewards are nice. I like the ISM as well. That's nice. I think I got top. I'm still literally, getting those 2 stars on Crusher. I'm still burning through the ISM I earned from that, and that was something like 20,000 or so, and that was quite nice just to sort of, you could spend it all at once, but manage it nicely. How are you auto managing your ISM? Because I've heard a lot of people talking about how they're managing their scans, what they're doing, their tactics. Are they doing the free one, then ad warping, or are they just ad warping the free one?
I've heard a lot of people say, I'm swimming in it. I'm up to like 10,000, 20,000, and they don't know what to do with it. Well, as for now, there's only 2 things you can: scan and open constellations that you got through your scan. So I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't feel bad about. I mean, say you do that 61,000 ISM scan or whatever, like that is not necessarily a huge waste, because if you spread it out across 1 extra at the end of the day, maybe you get 5-6 extra scans, and that, is 10% more toward the next constellation. So just because of the way the ISM cost scale, you really can't be too wasteful with it. So just try to maximize. If you do 7, 8, 9 scans per day, you're going to move along at the same pace as almost everyone else.
Sorry about that. I was hailing Starfleet.
You checking your gravitational fields, are you?
I was cleaning the gravitational well, I believe.
That's the one.
What did I miss? Did I miss everything fun? I'm sure I did.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to end the show now. Thanks for coming, guys. This has been a great show. What was it? I was reading Spocklet Chips in chat says, I did pull packs for Saru when I ranked top 25. No, top 25 is 3? Isn't that right? Yeah, 3 or 5. So
yeah, top 30 you get top 30 now you get 4 copies.
You get 4 copies. So yeah, pulling a pack.
Yeah, because if it was just Saru as an event reward, that would have been back during the Discovery Maker,
that's
right?
True, yeah.
Yeah, Mirror Saru. So that would have been, what were the rewards? I don't remember.
2 or 3? I think it would have been 2 or 3 copies. Because I'm pretty sure that's what I got when I did my Age of Sail Warp. It was 3.
Yeah, I think top 25 was.
No, it was 2 because I got Bridal Troy.
2.
I did top 25 for Bridal Troy, so you got 2. So yeah, 2. You pull packs for that, but yeah. So yeah, no, that's interesting.
84 years.
So we've had this event reward structure for 2 whole weeks, and we're like, what was it like? I don't remember.
In the old days.
Articles of history. No one remembers the history.
I had a fried egg for brain earlier today. I was trying to figure out if next week is like a rerun or if it's the mega or what, and I kept mixing myself up. This is like, it's
talking 1 week in advance. So yeah, let's skip ahead since you've segued us in there. Next week, let's talk about bugger it. Let's bugger the order up. Actually, no, let's go back. We'll come on to that because there's something more important that I want to talk about first. We'll come to event stuff in a minute. We're nearing the end of March. It's getting there. There's only 2 Tuesdays left in March. There is the 23rd. There is the 30th. If I was a betting man, I would say next week is it will be on a sale. If they really want to stick to it's in March, it'll be on the 30th. But if not, I'm kind of tentatively saying that our charity stream is going to be on the 27th. If not, it will be on the 3rd. Why does that matter? Because we've got guests coming on. We've got a lot of guests from the community. We've got guests from Wicked Realm Games are coming on as well. But one of the questions people have been asking us quite a lot is, how can we donate? How can we support the stream? I've had a few questions from people about what is actually entailed in that and how it works. We are, and just a reminder, we are supporting Child's Play, a charity designed for supporting children and people suffering from domestic abuse, children suffering from domestic abuse and from harsh conditions all around the world, by providing them with games and ways to heal themselves therapeutically through gaming. We are supporting them directly. So when the stream goes live, for the charity stream on the Saturday, we will have a link that goes to a donation page. And that donation page, whatever you donate, goes straight to the charity. None of it comes to a PayPal to us and then goes straight out. It all goes literally straight to Child's Play. The one thing about that is, and just for everyone, just to give you the heads up, it is going to be PayPal only. It is kind of the only way that would work with the donation tracker we will have on stream to sort of track what we can do with donation goals and things like that. So if you want to subscribe, just a pre-warning, make sure you can use PayPal to donate to the stream. And if you're worried as well, it's like, oh, I can't donate much, or I can't, I haven't got the funds. You see people, they donate $2, $3, $4 thousands of dollars, 4,000, whatever. Even if you only donate $1, there's no minimum amount, just whatever you can put in. There is no pressure to donate. There is nothing like that. If you can donate just $1 and put it in all the time.
Plus, we are legally obligated to read whatever comment you put along with your donation. So, if it's a $1 comment, and you have to make us say something goofy, we will be embarrassing ourselves like mad.
And we also have to reassure you that, this is for Child's Play, it's for playing games, or whatever, etc. None of it will be going towards making sure that children can gamble and get some crew. It will be going towards actual therapeutic, well worth gaming experiences.
Star Trek Timelines is not a therapeutic management tool.
It's going to definitely not idle@gmail.com or something like that.
Yes. Definitely not.
No, but no,
camouflage is perfect.
In all seriousness, yeah, if you can donate, it is going to be PayPal, so that will be the main thing. But we will have details coming up. But it's going to be one of the next 2 Saturdays. But if I was a gambling man, I would say it's probably going to be next week. But yes, look out for that soon. We're really looking forward to it. We've got a lot of stuff lined up. We've got a big show lined up, haven't we? There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. I've been practicing my accordion for a donation goal.
You going to give us a little sneak peek, or are we saving that?
No, I'd best not. I need to.
Don't make him do it, please.
I asked him. I told him. I hope I'm not spoiling it. I told him this was like months ago, because he told me he had an accordion. I said, "Can you play early TOS movie Klingon music? The dun 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 dun." I said, "Can you play that on the accordion?" Yeah. So I think he's been practicing ever since then. So
I'll need you in the background to just go dun 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 dun.
So I'm going to make a wild bet.
Sorry.
Who wants to make a wild bet? Search for Spock. Yeah, it was a great movie. Who wants to bet that the memory alpha page for the accordion is just that one line from Someone to Watch Over Me? When Harry and Seven are in astrometrics and she's looking through the crew manifest for someone to date. And she's like, I've narrowed it down to these two. It's like Ensign Chapman, and it's like he plays the accordion badly, very badly. It's like, that's the only track relevant mention of an accordion I can think of, and it feels appropriate.
It has 3 references. One from Someone to Watch Over Me. One from Up the Long Ladder, where the Space Irish invade with their goats and stuff.
Yeah. Oh God!
And then one from Voyager Life Signs, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but. Anyways,
I don't remember that one either.
There is
Memory Alpha
in love with the accordion. Who knew?
You can fall down the rabbit hole so easily in Memory Alpha. They have a page for everything.
They've got a page for tricycles. It's bizarre, but they have. It's weird. There's a brilliant deleted scene from Up the Long Ladder with Gene Roddenberry, the father Odell. I forget his name now. And Michael Dorn in full Worf makeup, and Gene Roddenberry
and Patrick Stewart.
Is Patrick
Oh, are they
Stewart?
doing the song together?
They're doing the song. They're singing sort of like a classic
that's
Irish
great
song.
shit,
And
yeah.
Michael
Good
Dorn's in
fun.
the background just going, not singing along, but just getting into it. It's brilliant.
He's such a goof on the bloopers. Like, I think one of my favorite bloopers, I think it's from like season 2 or 3, is Picard's addressing him on the conference table, and it's like, "Why are you sitting?" He's like, "Oh shit!" He's just to run.
Yeah.
By the way, before we get too far away from this charity stream thing, which we totally forgot at the top of the show, and I'm sure we'll ask you guys again next week, but if you have any donation goals that you can think of that you want to see on stream, either,
Keep it
things
classy.
that involve us torching our account, or classy, come on, clothing stand on, come on, torching our account, or reciting Klingon poetry. Or
I was going to say, if you want us to recite like an episode or a scene, just like that's an easy one. That's an easy one to make us do.
I thought about doing some pulling a number from a hat corresponding to some crew slot on my account, and I have to airlock whoever's there if we reach a certain amount. So
That could go real bad.
Oh, that could
it
go bad.
could, and hopefully people want to pay to see that. So, so if you guys have an idea, let us know. You can let us know in chat or hit us up on Discord, Gmail, whatever, and I think we'll ask again next week. But some cosplay needed. That is right up your alley, Stars.
Do I even have anything?
I was just thinking myself, what have I got? I need to. The only bit of Star Trek paraphernalia I've got is my comm badge. Like,
I've got my tricorder. I do have a Thor costume in that closet.
yes.
What else could
Yes,
I...
keep in mind that this is for a child's charity. So
yes.
reciting the Tasha Yarn data scene might, while we would enjoy that, I'm sure that would be in the spirit of the charity stream.
Just for
Well, they
clarification-
never say anything explicit, to be fair.
Fully functional, I think that sort of crosses the
That
line.
would go over a kid's head. Come on. Well, depending on how... No, I'm not going to go there.
So, in chat has just said, someone has to sing Faith of the Heart from Enterprise. What do you think the accordion is for? That will be a donation goal. Just to clarify as well, no matter what donation level you even if it is just $1 to donate, you have the option to put your shout out message in there. So, and we'll get a feed of that to shout out at various intervals. It's going to be a long one, so you don't like our shows here, where we're just sort of like an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes if we're drinking 4 hours, you expect one. This is going to be like drop in, drop out. We're going to be doing this over a long period of time throughout the day. But keep an eye on the forum. We'll be posting updates there. We have a Twitter. I'll be doing some more stuff there and on Discord as well. But yeah, we'll keep you updated. Anyway, we had a great segue into Reunion Kirk and Spock, or Spurk, or Recock, or whatever people are calling him. And Spork. And I've forgotten what it was. So shall we talk about them?
Incidentally, ladies and gentlemen out there, I want to make sure that you know that I originally wanted to name this episode Working Hard or Hardly Spurking, but I was outvoted, unfortunately.
You also got in there first. So every week, I'm like, 5 minutes before the show, I'm like, what should we call this episode, guys? And Star's like, you need to give me more advance notice. So the 1 week I say it's Stars, I'm going to give you advance notice. Auto's like, no, I've picked it.
But I had to bring it up just so that people would know the majesty of my pun.
So anyway, very luckily, Shan has been very kind, and the developers are very kind to actually release the stats of Reunion Kirk and Spock well in advance from when they're being debuted, which is understandable that they should really, because they are a monster. We have... Yeah, please do.
Before we go into it, because I'm hoping this will be Star's segment to talk about the fan fiction and all that entails, but I went kind of aggressively on the forums to say, because originally they had released the stats for Feldtorped and Spock, but we had no stats for Kirk or for the fusion. And my thought was, so they want us to compete in an event and spend all these resources and, without knowing, because the fusion is a big part of the crew's value, obviously, especially now that we know how good this fusion crew is. So I went a little aggressively and said, it's anti-player, which it was, and maybe they're trying to get us fear of missing out or whatever. And then, who was it? Rob Onage came after me and said, Shan, could we please have the stats? And she delivered the stats. So asking nicely apparently worked better, but I do stand by it.
Everyone on the forums tells me that asking nicely gets you nothing. You only get attention if you scream and shout and hit buttons.
You were playing into the hand, man.
So it is nice and essential to have that ahead of time. So, yes, let's continue to spork.
So, do we want to talk about the movie first, which is possibly the gayest moment in all of Star Trek, including the ones with actual gay characters, or do we want to talk about the card first?
Now, full disclosure, Stars and I watched this movie, 5 days ago, 6 days ago, something like that.
Yeah, not long ago. It's pretty fresh in my memory.
Yeah, so...
In fact, it was really... I think it was really funny because I think the stats dropped while we were like midway through the movie.
Yeah, we paused halfway, and then by the time I came back, the campaign and the stats were out. I'm like, whoa, hold on.
It's an actual movement. And I remember that because one of our esteemed Discord members was like, they got the shipability name wrong, because it's I had been and ever shall be your friend, and they thought that was a misquote. And that's because it is, but only because Spock in 3 is misquoting himself from 2. Because I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that is the correct thing. And I went on to Kotea, where you can get all the transcripts of all the Star Trek episodes and movies, and it was, in fact, I ever shall be. And then we watched the movie, and it was ever shall be. So that it's because Spock, in his brain scrambled state, is literally misquoting himself from 2, where he does say, I shall ever, forever shall be your friend.
Your name
and
is
that's the nerd
Jim.
My favorite thing.
Throughout the whole movie, we were doing that Leo DiCaprio meme where sit up and point at the screen. You're like, that could be a variant. Why don't we have that crew in game yet?
No, it's so bad because I watch other things. I've been watching through the Clone Wars. I've been watching through various other series, and I'm looking at it going, that version of Ahsoka Tano make a good card. No, it's not even in the fucking franchise. I'm thinking like this post, she's wearing a different outfit, or this person, or whatever. You watch bloody The Bill. Oh, no,
she's got a new hat
for 20 years. You watch EastEnders or whatever, and like you're just like, that's a good variant of whoever that character. Oh no, fuck. I'm thinking in variants and event usage.
That's a good variant of Dirty Dan Watts, you fucking nerd.
I was watching the stranded Quark and Odo episodes today, and at different points throughout their trek up the mountain, because they only had one thermal jacket, and so they switched back and forth. Who gets the thermal jacket? Who gets the homemade poncho?
It's the get along jacket when you think about it.
and so they each wear different ones. I'm like, technically they could sort of stretch it into 2 variants each if they wanted to, but
if they wanted to.
Oh,
so no! It's like a get along jacket. Now. Can you imagine what that jacket must have smelled like afterwards? Like a changeling who was in his standard not changeling body, and a Ferengi trekking their way up a mountain in a single survival jacket. It's like it must have, and that, and also so A, what it smelled like, and B, you get back and it's like, why does this smell like Quark and Odo together? Were they?
Is that a smell you'd be familiar with?
All right, so I know this crew is sort of important or whatever, but what do you think Ferengi sweat smells like? Because they eat beetles and tube grubs. That's got to be the most vile thing ever, right?
I think it's kind of mushroomy. It's got to be sort of very kind of earthy or gamey, I reckon.
That's true.
I think it would smell peaty with a hint of lilac. Earthy peaty aroma.
An earthy peaty. My Ferengi sweat is a bit earthy peaty with notes of. Is that cinnamon?
So reunion Spock and Kirk.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I really like this crew. I like the art a lot. The art is perfect because I love the goofy smile. I think I've talked about that with Kirk. That's super appropriate for this moment. And as much as I kind of feel like it's nice to have one-off crew in the top echelons of rank, right? Because you go, oh, it means that they're actually worth looking at, and you go, oh, that's a really good episode, like Braxton, for example, former number 1 Voyager, whatever.
Oh, low cut.
Yeah, I know, right? That's a harsh one, isn't it?
I just
and you go, oh, yeah, and you go and you look at you look at Braxton, and you go, oh, I remember him from Relativity, and you go and watch the episode. And it's nice to have one-off characters get some kind of relevance in the game. They're not just relegated to base number 30, Voyage 215. You never look at them again, apart from when they turn up and behold, and you go, fuck you. With that tone of voice. But at the same time, you do get a bit tired of why is XYZ iconic crew so terrible, like Enterprise E Picard. So it's really nice when an iconic crew is both really good and they're relevant and they're actually represented well in game.
And speaking of, so when we got the stats for Respock, Rekirk, Respurk, whatever, he wasn't actually number 1. He was number 2. It's only with the addition of some collection buffs that have got him to number 1. So this isn't. This is where I think you're going to now dispute Auto.
Yeah, there's this thing that we've been doing, that I've been doing anyways, looking at for crew eval. I'm starting to also look at them in trait or bonus neutral situations. If you're only at 10% for your star base, because everyone has different bonuses. In a bonus neutral situation, Braxton is still on top by a hair. But it's like, I came to the realization today that it's sort of disconcerting right now. And don't get me wrong, I love it, but being in the eye of the collection hurricane, because we're getting one a month. This is what, month 6, month 7, and the ranks that we know and love, that we may have memorized to the 1000th position. It's like people are shifting like 40, some of them 40, 50 ranks overnight from month to month, and it sort of makes citation decisions. It's like, well, when is the Ferris wheel going to stop? What are we going to land on? Are they going to even out the bonuses? Are we like, what's it going to look like at the end?
I think that's the plan, isn't it? Because I think this is kind of, they're now sort of, and for anyone that's not been watching the stats, but I think like Command is now, or is it Command or Dip's now the highest with 20% max if you max out everything.
Dip is, yeah.
And I think everything is now with the, we might as well talk a little bit about it now, but the Exobiology collection, which just launched, now adds some med and some psi and some proficiencies of both, and that kind of brings them up. Everything's kind of edging to an equal around 20%. If they do another collection, I won't be surprised if they do that, and try and sort of broaden it all around the horizon, especially with Exobiology. And I'm kind of seeing a little bit of the strategy as well. Exobiology being a Vulcan-sized collection. It's not a small collection like Inspiring or Veteran. It is sort of mid-sized Vulcan. We are getting tierings of collections now, but it's mid-sized, it's easier to complete as opposed to sort of Costume or Klingon, which are bigger ones. So I can see them trying to sort of balance who gets what where in terms of the player base for the boosts they need to improve their gameplay.
I know we wanted to talk collections, but I feel like if I could rein it back in for a second, because this is not only a cool card and a fun card, it is a very powerful card. So I do want to give it its due. And I'm sure we'll get back more to Search for Spock, because there's a few things in there I did not remember. And Stars is like, have you ever watched this before? I'm like, it's been a decade, all right? Give me a break.
Well, it's like when we watched Thunderball and you didn't remember like any of it. And I was like, this is pretty like classic Bond here. I was like, well, I don't remember any of it. And it's like, the Search for Spock has some very questionable things in it that people probably don't remember quite as much.
Why don't you tell us, since you already hinted?
All right, so I don't know if anyone else remembers this, but so the general gist of this plot for Search for Spock is that Spock's like corpse basically lands on. I say Spock's corpse as if he's like just shot at the tube, like and not in like torpedo. He's good. Like they just push him off a building. Basically, he lands on the Genesis planet, and it regenerates him. And it regenerates him, but his life cycle is in tune with the planet. And because Dr. David Marcus, who is Kirk's son, used protomatter in its matrix, it is advancing and aging rapidly. So you get your hand wave excuse for why you're going to go from, presumably baby Spock was in that torpedo for a little bit. And then he grows up from a child to a teenager.
And worms.
And then, well, the worms are the bacteria on the thing. And you get this odd moment where Savick and David Marcus find young Spock, and then he starts freaking out. And obviously he doesn't speak English. He only speaks primordial Vulcan is what I think he's meant to be speaking. And he looks at Savick and says, "Oh, you're like me." And then he starts going through Ponfar. And they start doing like the finger touching, and it gets as risque as that can get. And it's like, I was just sitting there like, I don't remember this. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that in the novelization it clarifies that she becomes pregnant through this.
The one reason I kind of remember that is because there was a lot in the sort of beta canon for the books that they had a kid, or at least she was pregnant, and they were.
It's in the novelizations for 3 and 4 is that she is pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am such an
it's
innocent
also-
soul that I don't think in terms of Ponfar and Maida. I just thought, they were hanging out and she was giving them moral support. So what did I know?
I mean, it is moral support in a manner.
In a Vulcan way, it is the most moral of things that she could have done at that moment. It was the moral choice.
Well, because Ponfar does tend to drive you crazy otherwise. Unless you're Tuvok, in which case you can apparently stave it off with the hologram. I don't know. I guess Paris is just really good at holographic sex
in
droids.
Vorik's case, with a blood fight with a Klingon.
Yeah,
blood
that's a bit
feud,
odd,
yeah.
wasn't it?
That was odd. Who thought of that? Every
It always
7
comes down to
years,
Ponfar,
only
doesn't it?
every 7 years they begin a mating cycle. Like,
I mean, it makes more sense to the
Kirk.
Ocampa.
makes more sense than humans. Like,
Yeah, speaking of Ponfar, Spock and Kirk.
Oh, God.
actually, that's about 7 years.
I'm
No,
trying.
Yeah,
I'm trying, guys. Since
Please.
when am I the mature one when it comes to this sort of discussion? All right, so we've talked about him sort of on voyages. The skill set's not the best. In fact, it's almost the worst. But the power gap is pretty massive. He's going to make a ton of runs for you. He's got a lot of good traits. Now, actually, this is something I wanted to speculate on a little bit because, in fact, let me pull him up here if I can. He's got presumably a meld of traits from Feltopan, Spock. Like if we're thinking Fusion Crew. Oh, great. Datacore just did some update. No, I can't find out.
Typical.
All right, so
yeah.
this duo crew, they have Vulcan, Starfleet, Telepath, etc. You can see traits from Spock. Now, I'm guessing because Cultural Figure is also there for Spock, the only one that's missing really would be Inspiring. So I'm going to guess that this 4-star Kirk we get that's available in the pack next week will have Inspiring. So we don't know much more than that, but maybe if you're pulling to try to fuse this crew, maybe you grab an extra copy and
this
for a
is
collection crew.
this is the
Well,
big
there are
caveat.
far worse things you can do with than like fuse up a 4-star Kirk with okay bases. Like, even if you aren't gonna use him for a fusion thing, like down the line, he'll still be usable in much the same way that someone like Indignant 7 is usable in Borg faction events, for example, because they still have decent bases on their own.
This is the big thing about this crew, and sort of like a kind of what I imagine is going to be a recurring theme if they do Fusion Crew. Because if we look back to Cheesecake 7 to Indulgence 7, like her debut was in a Tuesday pack. That's where she came from. The same is happening with Anxious Kirk. Previous fusions have been different, obviously. They were
Binars,
found, and the Binars as well. Yes, thank you.
That juggernaut.
Yeah. But, this is an investment of dilithium, if anything, if you're going for this number one crew, unless you can wait the 8 months and hope for a pack. So I can imagine for a lot of people, that kind of shirks them the wrong way, thinking, I've got to do 650s. It is on a super rare crew, which your chances are better.
Yeah, I was going to say
is-
that does take some of the sting out of it, and it does end up in this odd situation where you're going to get like a gold of whoever else is going to be in that pack, and you're going to be like, damn it, I wanted the purple.
Now, do you want to know...
Nothing here but useless gold.
I think because next week is a rerun, right?
It is indeed. And that's
Okay,
kind of
so
what I was getting to.
Don't ask me.
I think the pack is going to be 2 golds with Spock and Kira from
It
the
is.
rerun. So, like, if you don't get the crew, if you don't get this Spock from an event, not only and you really want to have the fusion crew, not only are you going to have to try the 6-pack to get Kirk with dilithium, you might also have to try an event pack with 2 golds. So you have like a 5% chance to pull them from any pack. It could get expensive quick. So this skirmish is probably going to be
Very
bloodbath.
For
sneaky,
top
Wicked Realm
1500?
Games. Very sneaky.
there are only so many players that play the game, right? How hard can you drive the horses? How hard can you whip them and before they just can't give anymore? So we'll see. I mean, this is sort of the watermark. Are we shooting for 2 million VP for top 1500? Like it
Possible.
could get really crazy.
But I don't know. I feel like this is a very, very carefully calculated, carefully calculated equation they've worked out here, right? Because if you look at Faltor Pan Spock, it's like what Psi Dip Med, and then you've got like Anxious Kirk will be whatever, and then they come together to make Psi Command Dip or whatever. Now they could have gone really sneaky and made this like Command Med or whatever. There would have been potential there. But I feel like it takes some of the sting out of this for the people who are, not going to be able to get them because they can't compete in a skirmish, and this is going to be a competitive one. Because it's, hey, in the end, yes, they're number one Voyager, but in the end, they are Side Command Dip or whatever. And it's like, that's a very easily replaced skill set. There's tons of other, top shelf Voyagers who have that. It's very easy to make up that combo. I feel like if they had wanted to be really taking liberties, they could have made it like a Command Med Crew number one, and that would have been a bit more of a kick in the teeth. This is more easily replaceable with other crew, and there are you can say, numerically, yes, they're the best Voyager, but also in terms of skill set, they are not. Because you can't subsist on a diet of bread and water alone. You need other things.
You also have some really massive event potential here, because when we look through, and I know there are a lot of legitimate concerns about, well, what's the point of event count? This events have already happened. How do we know if that's going to depict the future?
Can I just quote Skycap here, who infamously always poo-poos on our event count and crew for events. Events are trash is an exact quote from her.
And see, I used to agree, but now that they've rejiggered the event rewards, I guess, I'm looking at crew who will hit lots of bonuses down the line. I mean, maybe I'm not trying to collect all the Chekovs or whatever, but if Kirk is Kirk is the man with event counts, and you can also, with variant events, you have generally a higher faction rate. Because if you look at a mega, okay, say you get the Scoundrel mega, you're kind of guaranteed a skirmish, maybe a skirmish and a half. You're probably guaranteed a galaxy, maybe a galaxy and a half. So lots of time. How many times have we come on here and complained, oh, I only get half a faction to use my crew? Well, that's generally, you get a lot more factions from pure, hard variant events.
Yeah.
So getting Spock, getting Kirk, you're probably going to pull them out. I don't know why I say pull them out. They're going to be out all the time. 4 or 5 factions a year, possibly.
I mean,
so
you look at Kira.
Yeah,
that's definitely a step up from your average.
Kira is a faction.
names.
It's a hybrid. Next week, it's another Kira event. Kira is
and something worth keeping in mind. Yeah, sorry. Something worth keeping in mind also is that I think in the past I don't know if you said it on stream or not, but in the big book, whatever, Science Officer Spock, the Discovery version of Spock with the massive base, or whatever, he was considered to be essentially the best event crew possible in the game, between Discovery events, variant bonuses, the raw psi base, all the various different Spock adjacent traits like exobiology and artist or whatever. I think that going forward, that is going to go downhill, because obviously Discovery seems to be dead in terms of a hard show bonus. This crew is probably going to end up becoming the best event crew in the game in terms of sheer variance, because as you say, they are more reliable. They're relying on show or scoundrel or a variant trait they decide to go for, because variants are as regular as the clock, and everyone's always happy to see Kirk and Spock. People will absolutely...
No, he's gone.
Oh, no. I was just going to ask him if he wanted to put a nice fan fiction bow on the end of this. So I don't. Maybe we'll swing around to it later.
So, interestingly, while Stars is recovering from his reboot of his machine, so if you look in the hidden tags, which you can... Oh, here he is. Hello, Stars. Are you okay there?
See, this is the weird thing. I could hear both of you and see both of you perfectly fine for the entire duration of that, but you were just stonewalling me, and I'm like, okay, I have to
working.
I have to pretend I'm not being gaslit here. Okay.
No, you had frozen. Sorry, please carry on.
We should just do that. Just pretend like he's freezing every 5 minutes, and
pretend
he's going to be yelling.
I don't know.
You fuck off. You fuck off right now.
I do that to my wife. She hates. I tell her all the time I'm a figment of her imagination, and she gets. She starts throwing stuff at me.
Tyler Durden.
Yeah, oh, so shocker.
It's too much fun not to do. So.
Oh, fuck's sake. What was I saying?
Something about fan fiction, I think.
Yeah.
Spurk.
Well, it's Spurk. Well, it's in the end, I could wax lyrical about the meaning of this card in this moment for ages, because it's the Kirk Spock friendship is arguably the foundation on which modern Star Trek is built. Arguably, that's kind of what sets it apart from a lot of other things, is that relationship and what it means in terms of philosophy, in terms of humanistic approach, in terms of interpersonal relationships. But in the end, it all basically comes down to the fact that Spock is died, he's come back to life, his body and soul have been reunited. He doesn't know who any of these people are. He probably doesn't even recognize his own father or mother at this point, at this exact moment. And then he looks at Kirk, and he instantly knows who he is.
You motherfucker. It was you.
You. Like, before anything else, before the Vulcan Lion music, before logic, before anything else, he remembers your name is Jim.
If you came out of amnesia and the only thing you remembered was William Shatner.
Actually, I guess our equivalent would be like, I wake up from a coma and I'm like, how's Stars and Garters doing? we have to watch a James Bond together. Get me out of the hospital.
Yeah, that's essentially the equivalent. Yeah.
No, I mean it's a good crew. It's undeniably going to be more expensive than your average crew. I mean, even if you manage to rank, I have heard horror stories before. People think, I'll just dip my toe into the 6-pack, and I only need the purple. Purple's easy to get. It's like a 50% chance, and they go like 10, 11 pulls, 6,000, 7,000 dilithium before they can get them. So. Like, there's always that risk. Maybe you get them on the first or second pull, maybe you don't. So
that Kirk is going to be in a pack with Admiral Kirk, isn't he? There's going to be some trash in there.
Probably.
Really...
Yeah, it's. We'll see. I would bet it's going to be a pretty garbage pack outside of Kirk, but we'll see.
There's a lot of bad TOS legendaries in there. It's like, hey, do you want Nyota Uhura, like the boring, like Command Dipsec boring, like Voyage 300? Do you want dress uniform Scotty? Like, there's a lot of potential there for what it could be in terms of the 6-pack crew.
So Paul Need opens up in chat. He says, could we get a Klingon Bride and Jadzia and Groom War fuse? I think that's fantastic. If they've opened up the door for a Kirk and a Spock,
that'd be amazing. I would adore that. I would happily do that because, like, because there's that promo picture that they did for that episode where it's like those two looking at the camera. That's the one time I'd actually allow the whole like art looking at you from the camera thing, because it's like, hey, look, it's their wedding photo.
Yeah,
that's
true. I would allow it. You can look at me.
I would actually allow it in that one instance. I will allow this one time.
I've heard a lot of people complain about fusion cards, like. They either think they're superfluous, or it's like it's not worth the effort, or whatever. Or you're turning one gold into another gold.
Like
but it's like I think they're fun.
They are
fun. Something like this, okay, you can quibble with. You got to pay money, you spend dilithium, or whatever. But something for an existing crew.
In a year's time, when they're in the portal,
like Evolved Janeway was, or this Dex and Worf, like that would just be a fun thing. Like at that point. Why not?
Yeah, like I feel like in the end, it's like, yeah, when they first come out, you're going to be a bit pissed about it because it's a case of like, oh, I have to spend all these resources for like a generally good crew, with the exception of the Bions, obviously. But in the end, when I think of Fusion Crew, I get past that point and I think of where people are at now when they see copies of Captain Janeway and Mutated Paris, where even if you have those crew fused multiple times or whatever, you're always happy to see them in a Beholder, even if it's like an All Frozen, because guess what? That is adding toward another crew down the line that will help you in some way. And it's like collections, like being added is the only other thing that's kind of that adds value to existing cards that have been out for a while in that kind of respect. Like becoming part of a fusion, especially if the fusion is a very good crew, is massively wonderful for a crew's long-term value.
And massively annoying for me because I have to go through every single collection crew every month for the big book, look through all their stats again, write up the note again, discuss tiers, and it's like, all right, can you slow down for a minute? Because I just went through 120
I guess you should have been more careful with what you were wishing for when you had Ben on, but don't about like collections.
We need more collections.
Yeah.
And here we are with the Exobiology collection, which has just literally came out of nowhere and launched on time. Ben has stuck to his word on this one. There has been a collection every month, and this is another one with actually slightly more rewarding rewards. That was a terrible sentence. Rewarding rewards, better bonuses to your med and science proficiencies, which you can get if you complete the collection. So like I said earlier, it's not a completely massive collection. It is on the Vulcan kind of tier with 40. And there probably are quite a few exobiologists you already have. Like came out of the left field of I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? And sort of saying, there's been an exobiology collection released. I'm just like, like, because costume was huge, so you kind of you have a chance to kind of go, oh, I'll catch up with him. Exobiology was like, who the fuck have I got this who? That's Spock, right?
Mostly Spock.
Flocks. Yeah.
Lots of Spocks. Yeah.
No, actually, you were quick on the segue. I was going to mention Klingon Bride Jadzia. She's picked up 2 collections in 3 months, and it's like, okay, I would like to do Fusion Crew, but I also kind of now I want to finish Klingon Bride Jadzia.
Well, that's the thing, is it? That's what I mean in terms of enduring value. Is like if you can make a card so that they are worth having, not just on their own merits, but also it's like I feel like that helps. But fuck all this shit. I feel like someone's brought up the actual important thing in the chat, and it is Andrew the author says, Wedding Day Data and Tap Dancing Crusher for Tap Dancing Data and Crusher. Now, I think if you made like Data would be perfect as Dip Eng, right? Because like Prospero, you've got like various different variations, and then you've got like Dip Med as like Crusher. That'd be fine. You fuse them together, Dip Eng Med. You make. I feel like you could. That'd be a really cool, fun crew, and that's pretty iconic. And if you made it. If you made the Data so he's got that creepy smile on his face when he's doing like the ballroom dancing, that'd be perfect.
I was just gonna say, if you ever thought looking at the camera art was creepy, like just wait till you get Data with that looking right at you. Actually, I would like to see dancing Data, where Bev is yelling at him, "Stop, Data, stop!" and he's like cross country skiing or whatever across the ball.
Tap dancing away.
Absolutely.
So this, I ran the numbers earlier today, so let me just throw them out there for collections.
I will.
For the recent and or larger collections, this is how many gold crew you would need to complete them as of today. Costumed, you need 46 gold crew. Klingon 27, Diplomat 20. This new Exobiology, you need 15 golds to finish. Mirror 14 and Vulcan 8. So any of these crew who cross multiple of these thresholds, right now the gold standard is determined para. So if you have him from his campaign at 4 or 5, he hits 3 of these collections. And if you are determined, or at least fairly interested in finishing them all, any crew who double dip is going to save you potentially 100,000, 200,000 honors. So these crew become very valuable, even if you don't use them like every single day.
Well, I was actually going to say like someone who hits multiple tiers on that is Mirror Spock, because I believe he is Mirror, Vulcan, Exobiology. He's also a Spock variant. He's also going to be getting he also has that fringe use and skirmish, right? But I believe he has like a fast acting
accuracy.
Accuracy. That's the one it is. So again, adding like value to cards posthumous, because Mirror Spock has always been regarded as been a bit of a lame leg, like kind of like crap variant, because he's basically a 2-skiller. He doesn't voyage at all. It's like, well, that's actually not so terrible now that he's got consecutive like collections being added. It really does help his value.
And I know you must be on cloud 9 because of how many wharves now. They're all in Klingon. Some of them are in costumed. I think you have Mirror Regent Worf and Mirror as well. So there's
and then there's Sheriff Wolf, who's in Holodeck Enthusiast, who help you get a costume crew.
Scarlet, so
there's a lot of crossover.
Wars, yeah.
I have every Worf like at least 1 out of 5 now, so I'm going to be I have every Worf 1 out of 5 at least, or if not finished. So I'm having all these collections like flowing in is really helping, like just by taking some terrible Worfs. Well, they're not terrible. None of them are terrible in my heart. But terrible in like the blinkered, conventional, the soulless meanings of orthodoxy would have you believe, like Trader Worf. They're all beautiful in my heart.
Listen, what was the one thing we one of the one things we said to Ben in one of the first or the second Q&A we had was just like, look, we want, and okay, this isn't quite what everyone imagined, but we want some more use out of these crew, and the ideal way is what gives them more value than collections that increase our stats. Pretty high, you look at costumes, we weren't expecting that to go to 100. Now that's achievable on anyone's site list to give them a boost in all areas. So, whereas like, and I've proposed this sort of argument before to say like, okay, it's good to go for these number 1 voyagers or like, the best top dip med crew or whatever. But if you're completing a collection that improves everyone in all areas, not just voyagers, but bases, but gauntlet, that's an absolute fantastic look. And I don't know if you've mentioned it already while I was out, but you're talking about your Warps, you're talking about Will Scarlet, who is in, he's in costume in Klingon 2 with the biggest collection. That's fantastic worth to sight. Even if you don't get to that threshold straight away, you're at least on the way, and knocking out 2 for 1 is fantastic. And I can only see that improving if they're going to continue. It'd be nice to know how long they're going to continue collections per month for, because if they say, right, we've got 10 in mind, or we're going to finish it now, Exobiology, it'd be nice to know, should we hold off and evaluate here, or...
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Like
he says this after having complained about having to rewrite everyone's
No,
notes.
I know, but come on. I love them anyways. Look, if I log in one day, and I check Discord or I check the forums or whatever, and it's like a new collection's dropped, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Who's in it? Look at my roster, and it's like, it's something fresh, it's something new. And I've heard some people say, well, you can't count on maximum bonuses. Like, only the biggest whales have them done. It's like, yeah, maybe, but
No,
those last 1 or 2 thresholds is like 1% of one skill. How many people in chat logged in when costume dropped and go, oh, I just got 4% more bonuses, and you click through the like, if you've been playing a few years, I had 1 threshold done, I had 5, 10, 25 done, I'm on my way to 40. And it's like, if you try to look at it like 100 threshold, it's huge. It's like, you're not going to get it all done at once, but a lot of these, because they apply retroactively, like, you log in and you have half of it done already. So
and these
keeping
bonuses,
that value in the back of your mind, just when you look at crew, if they're in a collection or they have a huge trait lineup, like, that's value. So
these bonuses,
and sort of like,
sorry.
I was going to basically say that, like, going on the idea of like a huge trait lineup, it reminds me of when we were talking about Marquee Takeover Seska.
Teska, you can say it.
I literally was about to say Teska. Because I remember we singled out for having all these wonderful traits, and they were like, oh, this is going to be really good for like variant events or like, trait bonuses going forward. And now I'm looking at some of the odd choices they've taken for collections. Like, Klingon makes sense, that's been asked for it. Like, Mirror, been asked for years. Costumed? Okay, interesting, but it's very much in the spirit of like Star Trek. Go find whatever is behind the CBS lots, and we'll dig that out for an episode. That's built into the DNA of it. Exobiology, I wouldn't have picked that one. Like, I would have thought athlete, saboteur, like pilot. I don't know, something like that. Not
fundamental
exobiology,
nature,
but it's weird.
The fundamental nature of Star Trek is exploration. So what better than that, than the discovery of other cultures?
Literally, the explorer trait would be better.
Hey, it would give J.G. Palmer some worth, so I'd be happy with that. So
a collection of 1.
My
we used to have the astronomer trait, and who had that? Rain Robinson, I think Miss Q, and like one other.
Yeah, it was a very... I think they rolled that into... What did they roll it into? Just into astrophysicists now?
Yeah,
they
probably.
Like that, yeah.
So, I don't know if we'll get an
not
astronaut
as fun
trait,
sounding.
but we had... What kind of astronauts do we have in game?
J.G. Palmer.
Yeah, I guess... what is that? That Voyager episode where that dude from Seinfeld? Yeah,
One Small Step.
Yeah,
John Kelly, I believe his name was, right?
Okay,
I think.
So
and there's that really nice moment where like they retrieve his remains, and Seven tells him what the results of that baseball game he was interested in were. I remember really liking that episode.
I'm not such a big fan of all of the human development episodes for Seven, like the Raven. I didn't really like it all, but this one was One Small Step was like, I think that was really well done, well acted.
I love Raven. Raven's great.
Good story. Well, not everyone has good taste, but
oh, yeah, you're
that's okay. I'm Trelane's #1 fan, so I have no room to talk. But whatever.
Guess what? Otto doesn't go on message boards and tell people they're wrong for liking episodes, so that makes him better than most.
No, he just does it behind their back.
I assume. Yeah, I know. I just realized, well, I don't know, actually. Maybe he does.
I have a little black book of all the jerks who don't like the episodes that I like.
Listen, I've got a record of trashing various original series episodes that you've gone like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's a work of art. I love it so much.
Okay. I think we've used our allotment of a collection discussion.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's look at was just sidelining from Spock slightly into the rerun event that's coming up, which is sort of part 1 of the mega. Before we talk about the crew herself, we think it looks like a rerun. This is generally what happens most of the time. Reruns fall into the mega. Guys, do you need any more stars on Commander Kira Nerys? And would you take it at 400k?
Yes. Happily.
Yes.
I have 2 out of 5, so a 3rd star is absolutely a win for me. Because also, Kira in that DS9 uniform, she's rocking it.
Yes.
There's a reason her big book note starts with the line, "Players go crazy about a sharp-dressed woman." Because it's
true.
like, everyone loves her. And it's like, the same people that complain about having too much of a skill set or this or that, they'll turn around and they're like, "Oh, but not Kira, but not Kira." It's like she's
that's fine. I'll allow this.
This is the fan favorite card of the game. If we were gonna do a poll of ignore stats, what is your favorite art in the game based on, if you're a DS9
like
fan
she'd be high,
especially,
yeah.
is gonna be this one.
Now there's an idea for Timeline Showdown.
That is a good idea, actually.
Favorite beloved card.
Why'd you waste a segue? But it actually reminds me of so I was like looking through Memory Beta. I can't remember why I was looking through there, but there was this 4-part Voyager TNG crossover comic, and it featured this art of 7 of 9 in the DS9 uniform in blue.
Yeah.
And she looked great. Like, she looks like really, really cool in that uniform. And it got me started onto this thinking of every single time that someone who wears like a traditionally like sexy catsuit, like 7 of 9, Deanna Troi, like T'Pol, every time they go into like a standard Starfleet uniform, they always look, to me anyway, more attractive. And I don't know if it's a case of I find the Rick Berman approach of just put them in in like tight, sexy uniforms pandering, or if it's just a case of no, they're just rocking that uniform, they look great.
I think Kira's
I don't know what it is.
Kira's a little bit of the exception on that kind of rule because she was never played as the sexy cast maid, was she? Yeah, she was never that. She was always the rebel, but it was kind of the juxtaposition between seeing her always in the Bajoran uniform, and
the
going
Bajoran
from
militia,
major to going, right, you're now enlisted Starfleet, and it's kind of going, actually, you look really good as an enlisted Starfleet member. This should be if Bajor, I'm talking like Patrick Stewart now, or Bajor ever enters, ever enter the Federation.
It's actually called Bajora if you go back and watch this in a row.
Baby of Bajora. No, it's like so they look good or whatever, but it's also they look healthy. Like I suffer from secondhand.
Healthy? What? They've got childbearing hips? Like what?
Look,
nice
let me
cheeks.
finish my fucking sentence. Look, I feel I there's like this secondhand embarrassment when you watch the behind the scenes stuff or hear the stories of Marina Sirtis wasn't allowed to swallow the chocolate sundae. She had a spit bucket in between because they had to pour her into her because you can actually see it's the triple chocolate sundae episode. She puts a spoon in her mouth and then she smiles and holds it. You never see her swallow. It's because she does spit takes. Same with Jerry Ryan and the wire digging into her ribs. So yes, it is it is healthier for them to just be in uniform like everyone else. As Worf says, Starfleet uniforms are designed for comfort.
But that's like Troy as well in Chain of Command when Jellicoe says you need to be wearing a uniform, and then for the rest of the series she's in a uniform. It's like, actually, you look so much better because you're now more of an authority figure when you're counselling, when you're giving advice, rather than just like, I'm on the bridge, I've got empathy. You know, it's like it definitely gives her a bit more power. Not that this was needed for Kira. Kira already had the power, but sorry.
Yeah, and I feel like Kira also, I feel like, was enhanced by the fact that you saw other people wearing this uniform. Like Odo wore this uniform in a slightly different color, but whatever. And it does come across the case of like, they're more comfortable in their skin, like you say. Like they feel they fit in better. It's not as pandering, and it's just a better look for them. But like, I feel like Kira is one of those fringe cases where she looks great either way. Like I feel like, but the DS9 uniform has a special place in my heart. Not as good as she used to be, unfortunately, in terms of stats.
Who cares?
Chat shoutouts. One to Garrick, who points out that she still got a better voyage score after 4 years than Kevin Uxbridge. who everyone was waiting for a very long time. And the other one, Andrew, the author, says the Bajoran collection feels inevitable at this point. I agree. Like, because you think, when you think collections, like you think, okay, we have Romulan, Cardassian, Klingon, how many other racial Ferengi? Like, so you would think Bajoran, maybe Maquis, although they're not a race or like a group, but
They're
Bajoran
faction,
feels very natural. So I could definitely see that, and it would put a spotlight on
Plenty more Bajorans.
obviously a lot of Kiras, a lot of Ciscos. So
the
I agree,
Circle,
it
what
feels
was his
kind of
name?
inevitable.
The commander that joined
Lee
DS9.
Nallis?
Lee
No,
Nallis.
not Lee
Yeah.
Nallis. It was the commander that joined. It basically was Kira's replacement. He was the.
Oh, I don't remember his
what
name.
was his name?
He was like Frank
War
Langella,
hero.
right? Yeah.
The war hero.
The war
Was
hero.
it the guy played by Frank Langella? I can't remember.
I don't know the actor's name, but
It's a really
That's
good
what we have-
three-part, but I
was
don't
cool.
remember the names.
yeah.
That's what we have a
Yeah.
chat for. They'll fill us in on that.
Yeah, don't worry. So I also want to call out that Shia Porn points out that Mira Kira was played as sort of the sexy shill. Everyone in the Mirror universe is played as a sexy shill,
Yeah.
up to and including Mira Worf. So you know,
It even continues to this day with Mira Culber, with Mira.
everyone's hotter in the
yeah.
Mirror universe. You can't stop it.
Mira
Lee
Miles
Nallis. It
O'Brien
wasn't
was
Lee
was
Nallis.
pretty steady Eddie.
Was it Lee Nallis? Lee Nallis was the guy from episode 2 who was the terrorist. I'm talking about the guy. Was that Lee? Who was the? Oh,
No,
fuck,
because
I'm going to memory Alfred now.
I think it was him because he was like reformed. He came in and tried to do diplomatic shtick, but it didn't stick with him. So
Yeah.
Who was the guy from episode 2 of DS9? Jesus Christ, that's going to bug me now.
Will Riker?
No, Thomas Riker. Get it right. We need Cyber.
Okay,
Riker.
so
We
this
need
is apropos.
Cyber
No,
Riker.
we absolutely need him carrying off. So good, because I remember when before we watched DS9, my boyfriend showed me that GIF, and he was like, "I don't like. What is the context of this? I don't understand this. This is shot so dramatically, and I don't get it." And then we
Tanalos.
watched the episode.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I'm getting
Well.
Tanalos confused with Lee Nallis. Thank you
there
very
you go.
much, Andrew, the author. Sorry, carry on.
There you go. And it's like him pulling off the sideburns. And it's like it played so dramatically, and it's amazing, even if you don't know the context. Like we need that card so badly.
So to answer your original question, I'm glad to pick up her third star at 400,000.
Yeah, I'll go for
I
a
wouldn't pull PAX 4 necessarily. I don't have the soft lens for her like I do for so many other crew, but I will agree she's fine. I love Kira as a character, so any further variants I'd be happy to have too. But
And she's a
this
pretty
particular one
reliable
is-
event name as well, right? Kira,
Yeah,
she
in
has a
fact-
pretty reliable clip.
I think every year except one so far she's had 4 events, which is like oddly like 4 out of 5 years or something. She's had 4 events, so she's been.
And that's better
very
than some
consistent.
captains, right? Like better than something like Archer or even like a Picard, really.
Here's the advantage of all your favourite crew turning up as super rare crew, like Worves turning up as super rare crew, is because they will get featured as the second super rare bonus in an event. Like you think, oh god, Christ, this Kirk is a super rare. He should be a legendary, but no, he'll get featured in an event, which means all your other Kirks will be featured in an event, which means all your other Kiras. So don't shame them being a super rare too much, because that means in the future you'll get more use out of them. Speaking of use, no, that's not even a good segue. That's terrible. Speaking of this event, which Major Kira is a feature, Dexa, the Talaxian other character that is in Voyager, is
That is hands down the worst segue you've
that
ever
is
done.
terrible. I could generally.
Speaking
Well,
of
to be fair,
youth.
we keep on throwing them up and then throwing them away like wasted pals. Like it's
had
our own
nothing.
fault, really.
I had nothing, so that was no good segue. Like some people can master the segue and corral their co-hosts. I am at the mercy of your two's tangents. Dexa is.
Shut up, idol, you moron.
Don't make me bring it.
Shut up, Otto, you moron.
Anyway,
Just keep on going back and forth. Just keep on doing it.
speaking of this week's,
There's nothing here but worthless gold.
no, this is anything but worthless gold. Dexa is going to be potentially, if we are right, being a rerun gold, is going to be the first crew in the next mega, which we don't have details of yet, unless they've updated while we're talking. She is med, dip, engineering, the rarest combinations. She is not just that. And we did say we were going to sort of sidestep away from Voyage and stats and all this kind of thing and just talk about the crew.
Not today.
Not today. She's Voyage rank number 4. Jesus Christ. You're going to end up with a Voyage rank number 1 and the Voyage rank number 4 in 2 weeks.
I'm actually going to say here, like, I'm taking a step back from stats, whatever. I'm kind of just like playing the game for fun at this point.
Yeah.
Anytime you see one of Idle's mock-up cards like this and all of the numbers are in single digits, that's a good sign. You know?
It's perfect timing
Like,
as well.
look at that.
They go, oh, hey, everyone's going to spend all their dilithium on a pack that contains Kira and Spock and spend all their crons getting the Spock for a fusion for the number 1. But here's Dexa. She's also good, but potentially, possibly better because she's a rarer skill set. It's like, well played, WRG. You know how to extract the money from the people.
Well, it's also, to a degree, it's also a case of, hey, you don't want to compete in the super competitive, like, you know, skirmish bloodbath? That's fine. You don't want to dive into, like, the 6-pack for Anxious Cook? That's fine. Here is an event winnable goal that you can get by sheer hard craft if you want.
That's a very nice spin on it.
Well, it's like, in the end, it's like, you can take WRG to task on a lot of things, and you should, but in the end, it's like, they're offering you, like, you know, we've had a long dry spell of really kind of terrible cards, like recently, of, you know, your Booker and Grudges and your Sahils who are like, you know, Voyage rank 150 to 200, and suddenly it's like, oh, we get like 2 ranked, you know, top 10 Voyagers, like in the top 5 even, and you go, well, they're all available. You just have to choose where you want to invest.
So who is she actually trying to kill in the distance with her finger guns? Like, that's the one thing that stands out with the art. It's
I have no clue. Because the episode is good. Was it
Homestead?
Homestead. I knew it was one of those homewords, Homestead. It's the one where Neelix leaves the ship.
Yeah,
and
it's like
I think
second to last episode, isn't it?
We'll cover a little more next week as a refresher for her event. But I do like the episode, and it has that absolute 10 out of 10 gold moment at the end where Neelix walks down the hallway. He says goodbye to everyone.
Ceremonial leave off, doesn't he?
He turns to leave, and Tuvok steps forward and says, "Mr. Neelix," and the camera pans down. And Tuvok does this little dance with his foot.
He just like turns it back and forth, basically. That's all he does.
Yeah, and then he says, "Live long, prosper," and it's like, oh, I sob like a baby. I'm like, Tuvok, you're such a softie. I knew you had it in you.
Mr. Vulcan.
Oh, it's the best.
I wrote down like 8 pages of stats that I want to talk about, but since you already touched on it, assuming she is the reward for this upcoming mega, let's spitball. What do we think is coming up? She's from a Voyager episode, and her 5 traits are either kind of Talaxian, pretty esoteric, pretty niche. There's like what.
Are you trying to say that the traits?
There's a few other Talaxians they could add.
Are you trying to say the traits are going to be related to the mega? Because we've been through this several times. Caregiver.
Well, speaking of caregiver, that actually oddly seems like we're going to get to a caregiver 2.0.
Speculation is half the fun. All right, so before you interrupt me again, Talaxian, caregiver, desperate, resourceful, or romantic? What do you think, boys?
Caregiver feels like the most cohesive. I see caregiver paired with something else.
Caregiver romantic.
Warp theorist, perhaps?
Again?
No, that makes no sense.
We've had that. No.
That would make no sense to put those 2 traits together.
Caregiver saboteur, and then you could have like a thing about like you know, like protecting your home by like repelling alien invaders. I don't know. You could easily spin any of these traits into cohesive mega narratives as long as you take the time to do so. You
could, as long as they have as well, because again, like we've had with previous megas, like yeah, okay, they've had a good storyline, they've had cohesive crew for that storyline through the mega. But the overall, you know, we had a romantic mega, didn't we? Oh no, wait, it was Scoundrel. But all the crew were romantic, so
yeah, we had like 8 brides in the span of a month. They're like, no, it's Scoundrel. Trust me. I'm like, okay.
She's a scoundrel for marrying him. Got him now. Get that prenup in.
So something else I've seen a couple of players say today is, oh, they're throwing all these good cards at us. Like, I'm starting to feel overloaded or whatever. And it's like, hold on. First of all, we've had like 2 good Voyagers, all right, in a short span. let me remind you of A.G. Robinson, who debuted Voyage 265.
But he was
Kevin
a six-pack.
Uxbridge.
He was a six-pack. Oh, no, he wasn't.
Kevin Uxbridge, event crew. Soren, event crew, both debuted under Voyage 200.
There's a lot of crew.
Booker and Grudge, Sahil, both Voyage below 150. Even this week, Felterpan Spock, I think, is Voyage 140 or something. So we've had like a pretty long drought. We're just talking about, Voyage ranks, Voyage power. So 2 in a row is not that bad. And in fact, I went back and looked because for a while there was a sort of rumor, myth floating around that at the end of the year, come December, boy, they really ramp up these great crew. They want you to spend your holiday money, blah, blah, blah.
Heard that.
And that did not happen this last year. But when it did happen was when Captain Braxton came out, everyone's favorite number 1.5 Voyager. In the space of 1 month,
You are not ready
we
to
had
concede, are you?
1.5. In the space of 1 month, we had Captain Braxton, number 1 Voyager, Dahar Master Koloff, Juliana Tainer, Boothby Replicant, all top 5 Voyagers, and Humbled Archer and Assimilated Hawk, both top 10 Voyagers in 1 month. 6 top 10 Voyagers, including 4 in the top 5. So like we have had big spurts before and then dry spells. So I will say if you're feeling taxed about it, don't play something you're not going to enjoy. But
in fact,
I would say,
if I might, if you're feeling taxed and like you can't go for these crew because they're coming too fast and too quickly for you, then by all means pass them by and get them in a year and a half when they join the portal, because that means there'll be more from me.
So I would say store nuts for the winter because they've done this before, and I'm sure we're going to go back.
Wait, you waiting for my nuts?
Not so
That
great.
is the best analogy I've heard for waiting for the portal. Store your nuts for the winter.
All right, we're done with the reunion, Spock and Kirk. So let's get back to Dexa.
I think the best analogy for any crew is Shireporn. IMDb credited Shireporn, if you did not know, is credited in the chat as saying Sahil is stuck on a starbase for 40 years, and as you know, he came out with we were a bit like, look at his voyage score. Yeah, he shouldn't have a high voyage score. He never voyaged. Appropriate.
Now, see, I'm always an advocate of when the stats dovetail with what the character's like. If they're like stationary, they have a bad voyage score, but they have a good base, something like that. Or if they're like, they're a gambler, they have like a really high like proficiency, like survivalist Kirk. That's fine. Dexa is like because she like lives on like this Talaxian homestead, like for the entirety of her life.
Yeah.
Number 2, like number 4 Voyager. So it doesn't always dovetail, although I like what it does. So.
Yeah, that is a weird one. I think there's a comment earlier, and I'm just looking up chat. I forget who put it, but yeah. Single digits event score to Amazing Voyager is a bit of a compromise because, yeah, you are getting someone you can use on those med-depend Voyagers, but that's about it. If you look at sort of like, if you ever aggregate the amount of times you use a Voyager, you're using them on those Voyagers possibly 20-30% of the time, but when you're looking at your event crew for the big names, for the names that come through, and with dare I say it, the bigger bases, you're possibly using them a little bit more to sort of secure these crew that have the number 4. It's a little bit of a vicious cycle. Like, you can compare the voyage score to the event score, or you can have one that has both, like the Spocks of this world. So it's a little bit of a balancing act.
Well, okay, so a voyage horses like Dexa is. Take anyone who has Captain Braxton. How often do you use him on a voyage? A couple times a week? Now, how often do you use a Picard crew with a bonus in a faction event? Maybe twice a year? So you can talk about what's more effective. What are you like? You can say, well, Voyagers can't give you legendary crew. Well, they can give you pretty much everything else, including the tools, the chronotons to get legendary crews. So I know not everyone is all about Voyagers, but you're using your top Voyage crew dozens of times more often than your event crew. And I know Skycap will back me up in a second.
So would you say that chronotons and credits can be used to acquire goods and services and crew?
Explain how.
Exactly.
And then tell me how a bill becomes a law, please.
Oh, so what you really are saying, and I'm going to speak for Skycap here, you're saying events are trash?
Wow.
Well, no, you play how you want. Like
They're less
if you're
trash
after,
now than they've ever been.
That's very true.
That's true.
Yes, that is very true.
And like you said, this week you can get a Spock if you really want your event crew. Next week you get a Dexa if you want more of a voyage crew.
Do you know what else you can get this week? Do you know
No,
what else
hold
you
on.
can get?
I ain't done.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right,
I wrote
sorry.
down way too many notes. We're not even close.
Fanfic
This is-
segue.
No. This
I'll
is
get
the Dexa
comfortable.
episode.
Throw it in the trash.
Dex's Midnight Runners. All right. Let me throw some numbers at you because I am excited about Dexa, and this is like for months I've been sort of dragging around. I'm like, really, Sahil? Like, you really want me to waste my resources on Sahil? And now we've gotten some very interesting crew, like Reunion, Spock, and Kirk. Like Cosmo, believe it or not, is a pretty interesting crew. And now Dexa. So let me throw a couple numbers at you quickly, and then we'll move on. She is the highest voyage score ever to debut from a med primary crew. Now, I don't have the exact numbers on it. When we look retroactively at where they debuted, we have to apply current bonus. That's the sheets that we have. So that put Prisoner Cornwell, I think, at the number 6 Voyager. Now, to my memory, she was right around the 6, 7, 8, 9. But not number 4 like Dexa is. And before we had this last exobiology boost to the bonuses, and everything was kind of command dipsec heavy, the top med voyage score in the game was Mycela Culber, number 61. That means there were 60 other crew with greater voyage power. None of them had a med primary. So it's like there's been a drought for so long. Not only is she far and away the best med crew in the game, if you look at the top 50 voyagers and break it down by their primary skill, you have 16 dip primary crew in the top 50. Like, the skill is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. 11 psi crew in the top 50. Only 3 med crew. One is Soji Asha, who a lot of people have from the Mega. She's right there at number 50. One is Culber at 31. And then all the way up at number 4 is Dexa. So not only that, she has a fantastic skill set. 2 crew in the game with her skill set. Her and Stranded Quark. And that is tied for the 20th rarest. There's only 20 skill combos in the game for 3 skill crew. So it's her and Quark. Now, you look at a crew like...
And Reanimate Weather.
Sorry, I'm talking about a legendary crew, because we're talking about big... Thank you for correcting me.
I'm technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
You are technically correct.
Ooh,
Now, if you look at the other top 5 Voyagers that she shares air with, Breen, Disguise Kira, Command Dipsec, everyone knows there are 100 gold Command Dipsec crew compared to 2 of Dexa. Gary 7, very rare skill combo, right? Sexai, everyone likes Sexai. There are 22 gold crew with his skill set. That's 11 times as many as Dexa. Someone like Reunion, Spock, and Kirk, who we've talked about having that skill set, is getting kind of low to 38 crew with that skill set. So it's like, you know, even if other crew share her power, her combination is so rare. Her med primary at that power level is so rare. For my money, we look at as many metrics as we can when evaluating crew. We've tried to create our own spreadsheets. Idle, No Name Namer have gone through probably a dozen, so many prototype spreadsheets that were like, can we just look at this and see if this is something that like can impact the game? By every metric I've looked at, almost every metric, to my eye, Dexa is going to be the best Voyager in the game. So it's like if Voyagers are your jam, try to get a copy, even if you have to pull a pack afterwards or something. That's she, to my eyes, the best Voyager in the game. She's the best med Voyager to have ever entered the game at any point. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but also a completely unique skill order.
Completely, yes. There is no
med
other...
dip eng. I don't think there's a single one else who has that order.
That specific, the triplet, yes. In general, if you were to go dip, eng, med, yes, but to exactly dip, med, dip, eng, there is no one else like her.
Well, it's like when we were talking about Dareth when he released in his 6-pack, and it's a case of like, yes, you can get this from the... But it's always nice when they actually find, oh, wait, yeah, there's never been a crew with this exact order. It's always fun.
I have a sheet for that. I have plenty of gaps in my specific skills.
Really? Do you? Shocking.
And I will say, before I put everyone to sleep, she also has 16 different... and she doesn't get any big crit gauntlets, no 65%, but she has 16 different gauntlets where she has elevated crit 25%. And because of her proficiency, she's right behind Caretaker for Eng Med. So there's going to be plenty of uses where you'll be able to snipe him or at least bring equivalent power in that pair. So she's not a world beater, but she does have noticeable value there, I would say.
It is interesting.
You may now segue if you want.
No, but I will say though, it is interesting to see the timing of this card sort of around the same time where people are thinking, I will spend this there and this there. You know, they do like to do it in clumps of. These are good Voyagers. These are good cards. Everyone wants. These are good Voyagers, and I think
nuts for winter.
Too right, and I think there is a nice balance to be had between Voyagers that are good for Voyagers and event crew like the Kirks. Like, I know I'm thinking of looking at Anxious Kirk, even though he might be a super rare Voyager, getting him anyway because a Kirk is a good card, and there's a difference between a good card for, in gameplay terms anyway, for shuttles and for events, as there are good cards that will get me to Roy Kirk's absolutely fantastic 12-hour triumph on a regular basis. And if you haven't got the Bashirs yet, now is your chance.
Yeah, exactly. Like those superstars. I also feel like I'm obligated to say this. So our title is obviously Dexa Midnight Runners, which is, like, you know, the Common Eileen. Skycap says that it would be a crime if we didn't say that the natural extension is Come On Mylean.
Oh,
Shia Porn.
Yes, thank you.
Play the Shia Porn bat signal, and you have your next objective. Come on, Mylean.
Okay, that's fantastic. Where do we go from here?
Let's go to Cosmo, because he came out last week. And
yeah,
I requested this because I think it's an interesting crew.
Because we completely forgot about him.
I know you guys are ranting about the honor sale.
And he's done.
You guys ranted about the honor sale for like 40 minutes, which, granted, is more interesting than Cosmo, but I guess I'll take it since I requested it.
You requested it, you take it.
There is... Okay, so we've had, one significant gauntlet crew. Significant. Over the last, year and a half, and that's been the Red Angel. Now, recently, we also had Mir McCoy end of last year, who's another good med-eng crew. We have Dexa, who can probably do a little bit of that. But this is like the first dedicated gauntlet crew we've had since Red Angel. And he's Sexai. In both of those skills, his roles are number one for Purple Crew. He's like the number one security role, the number one science role. So even though that skill set's a little more, has a little more competition, like, if you're going to put a crew in a six-pack, picking a crew that you only need 1 star of, I think, is a nice compromise. Because, like,
yeah, and he was at least a 4-star, which is true. It's just a case of, like, when I think of like Sexai is one of those odd skill sets where it's really badly served on Voyagers. It's like Gary 7, Dodge, and then like power gaps essentially. But it's really well served in Gauntlet actually, because you have Gary 7, you have 18 Burnham, you have.
Spock.
Yeah, you have Gangster Spock. You have all these various different names. You have like Species 8472 as well, which like
Fury
Fury. Like, it's very easy to find Sexai in Gauntlet, so it's a very competitive like skill set, and I'm not quite sure. Like, if this is aimed for a newer player, then yeah, sure, that'd be helpful for them in Gauntlet, because God knows you need everyone you can get in Gauntlet at the beginning stage. But I'm not quite sure if he would be much help apart from as a fuck it, I want to have some fun in Gauntlet pick for new older players, but.
Yeah, but I will tell you those are the best. I've seen a screenshot.
Shall we start, you and me, because I know, Otto, you're not the biggest Discovery fan, but we are. And shall we talk about how much Cosmo's appeared in Discovery Season 3? I think is about a total of a minute.
He basically turns up, shoots at Booker and Burnham, and then I think he gets killed. I buy like the big space worm thing. I don't remember. I didn't know his name. I'll say that I didn't know his name.
The only reason I did was because he was on the view screen, which we didn't realize until he turned up later and then turned up in this card. But he was in the very first episode of Discovery Season 3. He was on the view screen taunting Booker, like, I'm going to get you and all this. And that was Cosmo, who is a Beetlejuicean, who was a character, a race that was also featured in the motion picture, the best Star Trek film. And it's a nice little nods to continuity there, even if he is objectively trash. Oh, I've got
Love
nothing.
you.
No, that's it.
No, hold on. We have to admit, because we're doing a watch through of all the movies. So about a month ago, we would have watched Motion Picture, and we both admitted it was better than we remembered.
Yeah, and I think you were holding a torch for, what was it, Chief DeFalco? Is that who you cottoned onto?
Oh, that's
Big
right.
O.
I want DeFalco in game.
No, the motion pictures, it's a contemporary piece for the late 70s, like 2001 A Space Odyssey. If you compare it to that, it's a more kind of, but it is very much, then this is me talking about the motion picture. I consider it the only true ethos of Star Trek in a film form, because there is no antagonist, there's no moustache twirling villain. They go and discover something. They find out it is something more than life. It is something that has evolved from life that can transcend humanity further. There is no agenda
I have
at play.
to disagree with you on 2 counts.
Go on.
So going by your logic, Star Trek 4 is a better film and more true to the ethos of Trek, because it's all about contemporary criticism of real-world problems and about advancing the social agenda.
Yeah, but that whale
for the
probe
betterment
was
of
the bad
mankind.
guy, so...
It's not really an antagonist, though. It doesn't.
Yeah, I will. I have watched.
And guess what?
Yeah.
If you want to make the claim that V'ger ain't an antagonist, then guess what? The Probe don't qualify either.
You're just upset because it killed
breaking all the
Klingons.
He breaks all the windows at Starfleet headquarters. Come on, whale probe.
What a
is
villain!
evil.
How
It
dare
doesn't
it.
get much worse.
I
than
heard
that.
he stole apples as well.
How dare he? Slap my grandmother.
It started raining harder. Are you kidding me?
This is England. We're used to that. It's fine.
And the other argument I'll make is that Star Trek 2 is still the best Star Trek movie. But you know what? I will allow you your opinions.
We could have discussions about Star Trek. I could have.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure that the
we
charity
could
stream
go
will
there.
degenerate into that.
If I
We
really,
will have a long philosophical discussion about which of the Star Trek movies is the best, and we'll come to the ultimate agreement in the end by like aggregate voting that somehow Insurrection will win somehow.
Hold on, we're going to apply a proprietary tier score to all of the movies, and we're not going to tell you what goes into it. But trust me, we know which ones are the best. We've done all our research on it.
listen,
Yeah,
all right.
So it's Insurrection. Who knew?
Yeah, weird.
So search for Spock, by the way, since we just watched that. There's a scene at the beginning where McCoy stumbles into the bar, and it's such a Star Wars ripoff. It's like the Mos Eisley bar. And the 3-breasted waitress comes up, and what are you having? And the guy with all the piercings in his face, and he talks like this. And he's like,
No, he doesn't do like that. He talks about like Genesis forbidden, Prime Time it's needed, and it's like, what is this weird Yoda bullshit?
I know. As soon as that started, I'm like, bring me back to the motion picture, please.
I don't know. I do not find it a little bit charming when Star Trek tries to be a little bit Star Wars, like Thaddeus and Akona, where it's always
we were the originals. We were the originals.
It's always a little bit lame, but I always find it a bit charming as well. Like when they're like playing like wireframe biplanes in the year 85, and it's like, what the fuck are you people doing?
Right,
you can go over there and get a holographic blowjob from Napoleon Bonaparte, and you're playing with wireframe biplanes. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Speaking of historical figures,
Nothing to stop you. Don't even turn the complete protocols off.
Out of all the things you could be doing, you make a good point.
Wireframe biplanes, whatever.
All right,
Anyway,
get it out of-
Cosmo.
listen,
get it out of your
what-
system, because there will be no
doing
Napoleon
tonight?
blowjobs during the charities. All right.
Listen, what are you
Get it
doing
out-
tonight? Are you talking about 2 other nerds about some stats about some images of Star Trek, or are you getting a blowjob from Napoleon Bonaparte? Moving on to other
He's even got the
classical
name for it.
historical figures.
You could even call the holodeck program Napoleon Bonaparte.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's somehow not lower the.
Spocklet chips gives me the exact reaction I was looking for, which is just wow. I
I was
appreciate
waiting
that.
for a what the fuck from chat, to be honest.
I'm stumped.
Oh, by the way, But since we were sort of tangentially talking about Cosmo, I do have a question for chat. And that is, because it's been like a huge paradigm shift for my gameplay. How has crew retrieval behaved you two? How has crew retrieval affected how you look at Gauntlet crew? Like the barrier to entry, the bar, like how good does a new Gauntlet crew have to be for you to chase it when you know you could probably wait a few weeks, get the pole stars, and get almost any Gauntlet crew you want from retrieval? Like, same with Arena too, like knowing you can pick up a Killy or a Kess if you have the right pole stars. Like,
I mean, this this invalidates. Like we were talking about this in terms of sort of the big book and not just Gauntlet use, but also the 400% damage dealers for skirmish and for arena. Like, if anything, this hurts their tiers because at any point with the right kind of combination, especially after the amount they gave out post retrieval and bearing in mind Bandgate and all that, but you know, they gave out a fair hefty amount of pole stars that you can pretty much you can get your 400%, you can get that arena Gauntlet crew you've always wanted. And it's also like after that trait audit, it's become easier than ever to get certain crew because it's a case of resourceful hero Gary 7, you know, prodigy brutal like Furious. Like people have zeroed in on extremely easy ways to get like these, and especially because like the data retrieval tool on Data Core, which I had a fumble around with, and is actually like it's quite robust and quite fun to play with. You suddenly become aware of this is I can just find them. It's so good. Sorry, how's that Elvis Juice idol? It's okay. Carry on. Yeah. You look like you're struggling with it a little bit. A few small hiccups. Thanks for bringing that up on the stream. Carry on. Don't worry about it. Just play Shut Up Auto, you moron, again. Oh yeah, shit, my cues. Anyway, carry on. Oh, I was all ready for it. We were going to do picture-in-picture. Come on. How have you gotten so many fucking gold going? 40 packs with valid gold today. Just hit all of them at once. We're going to break that button next week. Oh god, I broke this. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of like the bit in All Good Things when Picard is having those like not quite flashbacks, but he's slipping in and out of reality, and he keeps on going back to the courtroom from Farpoint, where it's for like, you know, the 2070s like courtroom where it's like the post-nuclear horror and everyone's shouting and screaming. That's what that sounded like. You know, I've got one on here I've saved for when we were playing the blue game. If you remember the blue game, which I don't think we're going to do on stream because the chat lags behind. But I've just got this is blue, and this is it. But we're not going to do blue crew anymore because they're not going to do blue crew because they've eliminated them from the rewards. So anyway, moving things on before we degenerate ourselves even further into a state of drunkenness and X-rated humor. Only one of us has been drinking tonight, my friend. Listen, we've got Platonian Chekov, and you know, look at that. That art is. Do I have to? What you do? It's the Tuesday pack, and he's part of the original collection. So we said last week, 23rd Century Martok, fantastic. They've updated his art, and there was a reason. They've introduced a new originals after many months of people in the forum saying, "Oh God, originals are crap," and many weeks of us saying, "No, we want more." And Ben getting very confused and going, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then, yeah, they introduced us. The monkey paw closers, we've got this. So, I don't want to, like, be, like... I want this to be a constructive criticism, right? I don't think that there is, like, a greater golfing quality behind, like a Cosmo, like, as a card I don't particularly care of. But I was looking at the art just before we switched over, and it's like, you know what? That's a really good likeness of that character. That it fits the aesthetic of like that episode. Like the lighting is really nice. Like the detailing is really fine. And then I kind of look at this one, and all I can think of is like when someone cuts out bodybuilder magazines and pastes their head on top of the body, and it's like, look, man, this is what I could be. And it's like, Walter Koenig is like a treasure, and I love him. He's a great actor. He's amazing in Babylon 5. He's amazing in Trek. Even if like Chekov didn't always get that much to do. But this art is just awkward, and Walter Koenig never looked like that. Chekov never looked like that. You were speaking of... We nearly got onto the subject of Kirk and Spock fan fiction. This has got to have appeared.
What's Chekov looking at? Is what you're saying?
Okay, so
he's looking at something that's of intense scrutiny by exobiologists.
So one of his traits is telekinetic. Now I watched what is it? Is not whom gods destroy.
Whom mourns for Adonias?
Yes, that's the one. Are they trying to say that in this original he would have been one of the Greek gods?
No,
given powers by them.
I think it's from Plato's Stepchildren.
Oh, that one.
So
he's not of the Apollo one.
Yeah, they're like they're a bunch of super.
There's too many TOS Roman God episodes. Who knew?
Yes,
that's true. What's the one called where it's like they meet the Son of God or whatever, and
the Final Frontier?
It's like
the Bible.
No, it's like it's another one of those contamination episodes.
It's not
where
the Yarnek episode, is it? Where
it's the Roman captive Kirk and Roman. Like it's
Game Masters of Triskelion.
No. It is literally Bread and Circuses because that's the name of the campaign.
Oh my god, there's way too much overlap here.
Yeah. It's like,
it reminds me of when I was on Twitter the other day, and it's like, Star Trek is like this big philosophical, expanding on the nature and potential of mankind, and then there's like 20 episodes about cowboys,
Space Western,
including Enterprise.
Yeah, including Enterprise, including I feel like Discovery might have done one as well now by this point. Okay,
am
I right about that?
Yeah. Well, apparently, we didn't read the flavor text. Andrew, the author in chat, says his descriptor says he drank the Curanide cocktail along with Kirk and Spock to fight the Platonian.
They did get telekinetic powers in the episode. If I do remember, Kirk and Spock did fight back that way. So, okay.
Yes. Transported down to the Platonian's entertainment, Chekov is prepared with a Curanide cocktail to better defend himself. Yeah, so I guess it's from when Plato.
Yeah, like if I were more of a TOS expert, which I'm not, after you guys that, it's just a bit odd. I'm a little bit sad that my suggestion of assimilated Worf didn't go through, but you can't always get what you want.
You've had enough Worfs, like you have literally.
I know. I can't ask for anything Worf. Anymore. I've been absolutely stuck. Yeah.
So I will agree because I want to keep it constructive. The art is not top form.
It's awkward. It's awkward.
Yeah, it's awkward. The rest of it is what it is, but
he's built.
It reminds me of the David Duchovny Mirror Reed, who looks nothing like Reed. That being said, I'm not going to dump on it because, one of my, we try to allow ourselves a few questions when we do these Q&As with Ben. One of mine was, hey, we haven't had an original since, Assimilated Troy 2 years ago. I said, can we get one? And he said that they like making them at WRG. They have fun with the backstory and whatever else. So I'm really glad to see another one. And in fact,
it's a good start.
Encourage that.
Definitely want to see.
And
more.
He's also he's a decent card.
Oh, what are we gonna do?
To encourage that, I'm going to pull one on stream, which I don't necessarily care about this pack, but I want them to know that I support them going with
you got a Pulaski, great,
and new originals. So
schematics always helpful. Craft, he's new. He must be good.
I probably should have shared screen, but whatever.
It's fine.
That's fine.
This is the level of quality we expect. Oh, hang on.
Assimilated Troy. She heard us talking about her.
Yeah.
Oh, even Mirror January, so back-to-back original.
This is one of those instances where it's like, I'm really glad they took the chance. The card is actually pretty decent stats-wise. It's good for another Chekov variant. I just think the art is a little bit awkward. It could use maybe a little bit of a rework, but in the end, they got across what they. I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, it's one of those TOS episodes where I got what they were going for immediately." It's just a case of with some Timelines originals, it's easier to make that transition from this looks legit to not, Like Assimilated Troy, I was like, okay, that's a really good fit of aesthetic. This one is a little bit awkward because
I like them playing with the imagination. I like they've sort of responded to sort of a lot of people saying, yeah, we'd like the Timelines originals, and they've kind of gone, all right, we'll go back to that. That's nice. I like that they're doing it, even if we don't quite like this one. That's fine. Keep going, keep doing more.
Yeah, no, absolutely, guys, don't be dispirited. This is I like what you're going for. It's just a case of didn't quite land this time, but it's it's like a 6 out of 10. You know, it's 6 out of 10 is perfectly good. And for all of those Walter Koenig fetishists out there, great on you.
Listen, if we can get Cyclops, Walter Koenig, fantastic.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because not only is everything cool with it, but like Chekov has so many like not good variants.
That's true.
And it's like this is the best one by a mile. This is better than all the other Chekovs combined. You can use him on voyages. He's got pretty good collection value. He's got a reasonable base, so it's like compared to finger guns, vaporize, first officer, Chekov, it's like they're not even in the same neighborhood. So
yeah, in fact, can I ask you guys a question? Right, so we had a Chekov event like a week or two ago. Is it bad business sense or good of them to have not put him out at the exact same time as a brute squad?
I think it's a little bit bad because you want to. I don't know. It's weird. It depends how you announce it. Because if you were to say, like, okay, they've got in the habit of announcing a week in advance, so you know next week you're going to need your Kira's out. So if they put Kira in a Tuesday pack this week, you go, fantastic, another Kira to sort of I can level her up and get working in this event. But if he was a few weeks back, it depends on how much notice they give. It's a strange one, and it depends if that's part of the overall plan is to go, we will sell people the crew that they can use as part of our monetize.
It just kind of strikes me as like this balance they have to strike between aggressive monetization versus making sure the crew are relevant to what you're doing that week.
When we're talking about their marketing for them, they've won, and I hate myself talking about it. It's horrible.
It's all part of the meta, my dude. It's all part of the meta.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they didn't even think about that.
No.
They thought, okay, let's do an originals. Let's make sure it's costumed because the collection just dropped, and then we'll put it in a 6-pack and see who's buying reasonably stated costume crew. I think that's probably what they went with. Yeah. The fact that it was a Chekov may have been more incidental than anything. But
I think if anything, they probably looked at it as when it's more costumed after a costume mega. And that's possibly what people were looking at, going, I can get more crew for this. Maybe. I don't know how much they look at... Because, like I've said before, the people who watch our stream, who post on the forums, who talk on the Discord, are very much the minority of the larger player base. The larger player base who are more the casual Star Trek fans, join the minor fleets.
I'm every woman. It's all in me, okay?
Okay, so... people in the chat are bringing up the point that we've got a decent Chekov now. We've got a good few decent Uhuras. We've got a really good Scotty. But poor old Sulu is languishing with some really bad variants. And Shire points out we need a world breaker Sulu, flyer apart Sulu. That brings me to 2 points. Yeah. One, we still don't have Sulu and Gertrude, the plant that he was meant to have when we got that survey about ended up being Homesteader Janeway. I'm kind of curious where that card's gone. And 2, why don't we get Shireporn Sulu as the Time as Originals?
True. IMDb.
I'm sure that was his segue.
For those that don't know, Shireporn has appeared in various Star Trek fan interpretations of the original series as Sulu, and is a fantastic actor. If you have not seen 97 seconds of Star Trek 2009, please go and watch it. He's fantastic.
Someone send me a link on Discord. Sure, porn. You can plug your own stuff. Send me a link on Discord. I want to see this. I didn't know about this.
You know what I would like? If we're going to go down the Timelines Originals route, and we've got the iconic thing of him going after Cardinal Richelieu with the fencing foil or whatever, why don't we get full-on Musketeer Sulu, like Musketeer Picard, with the full fancy hat and everything? I think that'd be cool. Why not? Timelines Originals.
Apparently it's Beauregard, not Gertrude.
No, it was...
I thought it was Gertrude.
I'm pretty sure in the thing it said it was Gertrude.
It was Gertrude and Sulu. That's what they said on their little survey.
Yeah, let me check.
Okay. Anyway,
I don't like.
It's not quite a Star Trek stream until you're searching memory alpha in the middle of it.
I really like
tricycles and now this.
New crew that fit motif. So one of the big ones obviously is Age of Sail, which is it's an easy one to work into. So if you ever wanted to do an original Age of Sail, Sulu, whatever, that would all work. And I think the other big one recently that I had a hankering for was Socrates, and how he reminded me of a chess piece. So if they ever did chess piece in Picard on his horse, like as an action figure or something. That would be really cool.
Sounds like a cultural figure to me.
We have I think they plugged that for Eromotic Syndrome's campaign. They're like, he's a cultural figure and gardening. So
Yeah.
by the way, we're like, write that down. That might come into.
Can we get Gardener Garrick in like Romulan gardening gear with like some blood on his gloves, or is that too violent?
Shy Porn says, Worf's Into the Woods deep cut. Can you imagine any kind of cultural figure for Worf? Stars.
Governor would have been the easy one. Yeah. Oh no! Chancellor Worf from Tacking Into the Wind. He was Chancellor for all of 5 seconds before he passed over to Martok. There you go.
You got really
and also, I've just
excited
checked.
for a second.
It's Worf. Wait, you asked me a Worf question, bitch. And I just checked Memory Alpha. Beauregard, also known as Gertrude.
Oh, so it was.
Oh, well, there you go.
There
was an animate carnivorous plant kept in the botany section of the life sciences section of the USS Enterprise. I'm sure it was singing Little Shop of Horrors songs. I'm sure
it was Sulu and Janice Rand, and I cannot remember the episode it was from. Someone, was it Charlie X?
Yeah,
might have been.
Yeah.
I think so.
Charlie X.
Yeah, I went through trying to find. I was trying to find some like Janice Rand stuff, and I think I stumbled upon it. So,
okay. On that note, any further business, gentlemen, before we conclude?
Hold on. Since we're talking wharves, we did get a. May as well shut out. We did get a minor change to midwife war.
Yes, not officially announced, but there was a very slight.
Yeah,
it
was.
Yeah,
it was.
Oh, it was. No, yes, you're right. It wasn't an announcement.
By
yes.
Shan.
Well, so minor correction from the chat. It was the Man Trap and not Charlie X, according to Robert Kaiser.
Oh,
look, it's our show, not yours. So if you say it's Charlie X, that's what it is.
No, it was.
If you want to come on the show and dispute us, then you have to come on.
McCoy's ex-girlfriend. What was her name? Come on.
M113 creature?
Nah, that was what she was. But what was the human she assumed? Come on.
Nancy Crater?
Nancy Crater, that's the one. Thank you.
There we go.
Gonna pretend I knew that.
I only know that because I'm not. I'm one of those old scientists.
That's right, because the plant reacted to her. She's a salt creature.
Feed me, Seymour. Yeah, whatever.
I need to get.
So anyway,
yeah.
Midwife Wharf had this change. We were grousing because they used the wrong. It was what from the Enterprise movie.
That's right. Yes.
The little icon for the art, the uniform.
Mm.
So I guess they changed that. So anyway, that's like those little details. I know they don't matter to most of the players, but that shows. As a more invested player, that shows me that they do care about the little things.
Does Adge Cutler still equip a uniform for females' uniform? Pretty sure he does.
I was going to say, it's like, this is the advantage of getting things right on the first pass. People don't remember it 3 years later.
And it's like multiple variants, too. Like, because they all have the Klingon tag, so I've been leveling them for the collection lately, and it's like... So
look, when they had to bone graft and whatever, they just left a little bit too much in that area.
That was Laurel.
It's one of those. It's one of those Klingon redundant.
Yeah, no, Laurel was like, "No, give him chesty man beefers. Just do it."
He has mine. He has my breasts. I will put them on him.
Get us out of here. Play us
And on that note.
Okay.
Don't forget that coming up we have the charity stream. Can I just job and then close this out?
Please do.
No.
Okay.
You're inspired with the power of Elvis Juice.
We do. We will have next week's show. Maybe we'll be pulling on a PAX. Maybe we won't. I think we're planning to do a couple of little impromptu, either like a Tuesday or a Thursday. No, not a Tuesday. Or maybe a Tuesday. Who knows? A little impromptu stream where we pull some of our...
weekday.
Yeah, a weekday stream that isn't a Wednesday where we'll pop on and pull some packs for the honor sale because, Otto, you have many millions of honor that you would like to sacrifice for the good of the stream.
Millions of honor.
Million yen.
Meanwhile, someone in WRG is laughing like they do on the other end. It was like, so yeah, we'll
Those
be doing
losers.
that.
There's no honor sale coming. We love them.
We have been
Okay,
told.
but before we go, I want to point out that we've been stuck at like 47 viewers for a while now, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the significance of the number 47 in Star Trek.
Yes.
That's true. Yes.
So I'm happy about that.
It's the some
Mixture.
kind of numbers.
So for all 47 of you,
It's
that
42
are,
adjusted for inflation.
all 47 of you that are currently asleep right now with our lovely dulcet tones.
Damn it! Someone left.
Wait, hold on. Two things. First of all, last time I was on the show, I asked how many of your people who leave the show on for white noise did you fall asleep to? And someone actually contacted me and admitted that was them. So that is fantastic.
That's fine.
And
so
I
for
forget
all
the
46
second thing
of you-
because I'm one of the old people too. So
So next week is going to be a bit fluid. We'll see what happens. We'll either be going mad for honor sales or be going, where the fuck is the honor sale? So keep it up. Just a reminder, our charity stream will either be next Saturday or the one after. We will have to see, depending on when the honor sale is. Ben has told us March. We will take that as read. But please, keep your ears out for that. And if you can, if you're thinking of going, I want to donate, look at PayPal. That is going to be the way to do it. If you can't, if you're feeling worried that, I can't donate so much, no, $1 is all you can. And even if you can't, please, just turn up for the stream and join us for a little bit. You don't have to come and stay for the whole lot. We will be promoting Child's Play pretty hard, and we will be doing what we can for the charity in question, not just for timelines. We'll be having guests on. We'll be having a laugh. It will be a long stream, but we will be embracing both the community and the charity that we are supporting.
you did tease a little bit, I think, last week, but we will have some WRG folks
Yes.
on as well. So
Yeah, they will.
I don't think it's not going to be your typical Q&A stuff,
No.
but if you want to learn a little more about the people that work on the game, this is going to be a great opportunity.
Absolutely. They'll be coming on not to do the, Ben comes on, he does Q&A teas and stuff. No, we'll be getting not just Ben, there's going to be a few other people on as well. We'll be talking to some of the other guys as well about what they do in the company and sort of, just having a little bit of a roundtable discussion. Nothing much about the game, but more about what they do and things like that. So come along, have a look at that. That'll be part of the charity stream as it happens. So, but I think, guys, unless any other business, that is all from me and for this week. We will see you next week for another, hopefully, fantastic show. Ta-ra from me, ta-ra from Stars, from Auto. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.